May on knife edge, MP's resignation could tip balance, giving MPs power to vote down Brexit. He said Parliament was being sidelined and he could not support how our country's exit from the EU looks set to be delivered. The blow came just hours after Mrs May's desperate plea for unity among her feuding and rebellious Tory MPs over 14 Lords' amendments, which threatened to derail her Brexit strategy. Downing Street feared diehard pro-EU Tory rebels could unite with Labour over the next 2 days of votes to keep the UK in the EU customs union. And the resignation leaves the Tory government staring at a potential embarrassing defeat in the Commons on the House of Lords amendment, which could give MPs a meaningful vote on the final outcome on Brexit negotiations. The most tightly contested amendment, made by the House of Lords to Mrs May's flagship EU withdrawal bill, is set to be the call for Parliament to have their say on the Brexit deal agreed by the UK and EU's negotiators. A yes vote for a meaningful vote would see Parliament take control of negotiations if a final Brexit deal is turned down by MPs. This morning William Hague, former Tory PM, warned Conservative rebels to shy away from voting against their own government because it would play into the hands of EU chiefs and Labour. While Mrs May's former advisor Nick Timothy urged MPs not to betray the people who voted to leave the EU. Mr Timothy said, MPs said they wanted the people to decide. And the people decided to leave the European Union. They must not be betrayed. Mrs May has been warned any defeat on this key piece of legalization would send the wrong message to Brussels. The PM told her ministers during a cabinet meeting today, a vote on the government's plans for Brexit will send a message to the EU and will make negotiations more difficult if lawmakers undermine the official position. Mrs May's spokesman said, the Prime Minister said that the votes were important in terms of the message they send to Brussels. She said that anything which undermines the government at home would make the negotiations with the EU more difficult.